This is how I used a range mask to reduce the blown out nature of the core of Orion. This was the session I used when I was creating my Orion image, and I used the LRGB combination to add the luminance, red, green and blue files, which is luminance, red, green and blue files together. So I'm going to recreate that image now, and then I'm going to use the range mask to reduce the brightness of the core. Okay, we have my image here. I'm going to apply a soft stretch to this, so I'll go Script, Easy Processing Suite and Soft Stretch. I've got my image now, which you can see here that the core is pretty much blown out, and you can't see any of the fine detail that we have in the core. So I'm going to use the range selection tool which we have here. So I've got a preview started, and you can see if I reset the tool that you start off with a white screen. You then reduce the range until you just get to the area that you're wanting to be processing. Now I think it's probably going to be around there for a first go. Then I want it to blend nicely, so I make the edges fuzzy and then I smooth those edges out. So that's going to be my first range mask, so I'm going to apply that. So it's now created a range mask, which is here. I'm just going to close this. What I'm going to do now is apply this mask to the Orion image. So I drag that across and drop it on there. That turns brown, and then this is my range mask which we're currently using, and you can see here it's selected. Anything that's red is unaffected, so I want to go to the mask and invert the mask so that only the light part is being affected. Now I want to take the mask and show mask so I can see the full image. Now what I want to do is open the histogram transformation and start a preview. So I've got my histogram transformation here, and I'm now going to reduce the lightness on the area until it begins to get too dark. So it's got too dark there. So I'm now going to bring it back so that it just blends, which I think is around there. There we go. So I'll just take the preview off. So that's how bright it was before, and that's how bright it was now. Maybe it's a bit too severe. Okay, great. So that's the first one that I'm going to do. And I'm now going to apply this to my image. Great, so it's now reduced this particular area. I'm now going to go back into range selection and start a new preview. And this time, I'm going to reset the tool. I'm going to go a little bit further in. Exactly the same again. Make it fuzzy around the edges and then smooth it out a bit and then create it. This is our next mask. So I'm going to take the previous mask off. Mask, remove mask, and then put this mask on. And now we're going back into histogram transformation. I just need to show where the mask is, so show mask. So invert the mask, so I want to affect the area in the middle, and then show mask. And now if I reset the tool, create a preview, we can then bring down the core a bit more. And then apply that to our image. And slowly but surely we can see that we're only bringing down the oversaturated part in the middle. So I'll continue doing this until we can hopefully see some more detail in the middle. I've now been through creating a series of range masks. So we started off with them getting gradually smaller as we went through the process, and eventually a super small one at the end there. And this has allowed us to apply a histogram transformation to the original image. So this was the original image. I've just created another copy, and now you can see the difference between the original here and the new one here. So we can actually see some of the detail in the core. Now this was super quick, and I didn't take a huge amount of care over how I did it, but I wanted to demonstrate how you could use a range mask to do a stretch that would allow you to reduce the blown out nature of the core of Orion and still maintain the outside dust that you can see here. So I think the range mask tool is really good for protecting the areas that you want to keep, such as these beautiful dust lanes all the way around the edge, but affect the bit in the middle where you really want it to be less bright, particularly with the Orion Nebula.